Good afternoon, Standard 9 students. Now, Munni had already explained to the American tourist about how the horse will grow bigger and bigger and it will keep taking all the good men on its back and kick the evil ones back into the floods. So when he was relating this story, it appeared as if he was very sad. And that was misjudged by the American. The American was looking at him very sad. He felt that Munni was not too pleased with the price he has offered Munni. So that was how the misinterpretation or the misjudgment of the expression. So then the foreigner now understood by the tone of the other that a question was being asked and said. Okay. Like I told you, he was explaining about a sad story, what will take place when the world is going to come to an end. But the foreigner misunderstood and felt that Munni was saying this in a sad tone because he was not happy for the price that was going to be offered or not happy to sell the horse. I am not a millionaire but a modest businessman. My trade is coffee. So he is explaining that I cannot afford to give you more than this because I am not a very rich person. My business is only dealing with the word coffee. Amidst all this wilderness of obscure sound, Munni caught the word coffee. Okay. And said, if you want to drink coffee. Now some people do not pronounce the word coffee as coffee. They say kapi. Okay. Drive further up in the next town. They have Friday market. And there they open kapi hotels. So I learned from passerby. Okay. So now when he mentioned the word coffee, now what the foreigner was explaining is that I am not a millionaire, I am not such a rich person to give whatever you demand for. He says I only deal with coffee. So Munni understood that the foreigner wanted to drink a cup of coffee. So he does not pronounce the word coffee as coffee. He pronounces the word as kapi. The foreigner said, I repeat, I am not a millionaire. Ours is a modest business. After all, we can't afford to buy more than 60 minutes of TV time in a month. Now, what did he mean by this? He says, I am not such a big businessman where I could advertise my products on television. Now when we see all these episodes, okay, they are sponsored by some big companies like MRF and Sear Tires, Byju's. So these are all very big companies that sponsor these programs. So they can afford, and there are some companies who advertise the products to television. He says, I do not have such a big business where I could spend money on advertising, which works out to 2 minutes a day. Because that's all. Although in the course of time, we maybe sponsor a 1 hour show regularly if our sales graph continues to go up. Maybe someday we may advertise our products to TV or television if our company does well and sales go up, then perhaps we can think of spending 2 minutes or maybe 1 hour advertising. Then the visitor, feeling that he had spent too much time already, said, "Tell me, will you accept 100 rupees or not for the horse? I'd love to take the whiskered soldier also, but no space for him this year." Okay, so now according to, he says, "I'm going to offer you 100 rupees for the horse. Now you're going to accept it or not. But this year I will not be able to take the warrior, the whiskered soldier. So there is no space for him. I'll have to cancel my air ticket and take a boat home. I suppose Ruth, his wife, can go by air if she likes, but I will go with the horse and keep him in my cabin all the way if necessary." And he smiled at the picture of himself voyaging across the sea, hugging this horse. He added, "I will have to pad it with straw so that it doesn't break." So now the deal has been made. The American tourist is very happy with this deal, and now he is making arrangements that his wife will have to go by air and he will have to go by ship, and he will have to keep the horse with him. And then he was imagining hugging the horse and sailing, and he was feeling very great about himself. Okay. I have my station wagon, as you see. I can push the seat back and take the horse in if you will just lend me a hand with it. He says, "I have a station wagon. I only have to adjust the seats, and then if you want, you could help me out to put the horse into the station wagon. Lend me a hand, and I can lift off the horse from the pedestal after picking out the cement at the joints. We can do anything if we have a basis of understanding." She said, "I want you to help." Okay, so that we could remove the horse from the pedestal and then we can put it into the vehicle. At this state, the mutual mystification was complete. Okay. Now, what was the mystical thing was that Munni did not understand a single word of the dealing. Okay. Like he felt it is a policeman and he's come to take the statue away. Okay, like how these government from the PO office, they come and they see something lying, they find it useless, they break it and take it away. Okay. The old man chattered away in a spirit of balancing off the credits and habits of conversational exchange, and said, in order to be on the credit side, "O Honorable One, I hope God has blessed you with numerous progeny." So now he forgot about the conversation. Munni understood there's no need to talk to this man. He doesn't understand me. When he is talking, I don't understand him. But let me find out, as a part of inquisitiveness, and found out how many children does the American tourist has. I say this because you seem to be a good man, willing to stay beside an old man and talk to him, while all day I have none to talk except when somebody stops by to ask for a piece of tobacco. But I seldom have it, Tobacco is not what it used to be at one time, and I have given up chewing. I cannot afford it nowadays. Noting the other's interest in his speech, Munni felt encouraged to ask, "How many children have you?" with appropriate gestures with his hands. Realizing that a question was being asked, the red man replied, "I said 100. Now, could you imagine the kind of conversation they had? Now, one fellow was asking, "How many children do you have?" The American fellow said, "I have." He didn't say, "I have." He said, 100. The reply to that question. So now, for Munni, he feels that the American tourist has got 100 children. How many of your children are boys and how many girls? Where are they? Is your daughter married? Is it difficult to find a son-in-law in your country also? So he's talking more like a family man. Okay. But when the American tourist said 100, he meant that he is going to pay 100 rupees towards the house. He was not thinking about, he didn't understand the question that was being put up by Munni. In answer to these questions, the red man dashed his hand into his pocket and brought forth his wallet in order to take immediate advantage of the bearish trend in the market. He flourished a 100 rupee currency note and said, "Well, this is what I meant." So now to make it sure that how much he's going to pay, so he took out a 100 rupee currency and explained to Munni that this is what I meant with, I'm going to pay you 100 rupees for the horse. Now Munni knows that the horse does not belong to him. Okay. The old man now realized that some financial element was entering the talk. He peered closely at the currency note, the like of which he had never seen in his life. He knew the 5 and 10 by their colors, although always in other people's hand, while his own earnings at any time was in coppers and nickels, was it coins. So what was the man flourishing the note for? Perhaps for change. Kuchra. Okay. Now over here I will stop it and then I shall continue with the next part of the story. Okay. Some more question and answers will be given to you. Please write and learn them. Thank you.